past 11 months, in spite of the existence of recognized military veterans association in the interest of reaching out to the broader section of veterans. Since 1994, the democratic government has placed the legitimate concerns of military veterans at the heart of its policy interventions. This recognizes and acknowledges the immense contribution these men and women made to the liberation of South Africa. The issues and concerns of military veterans received even sharper focus when, by presidential proclamation in 2009, the Department of Military Veterans was brought into existence. The legislation giving life to this department was finalized with the Military Veterans Act 18 of 2011 proclamation in December 2011. According to the legislation, the DMV is supposed to facilitate and coordinate 11 benefits that accrue to military veterans. To facilitate these objectives, military veterans associations were officially recognized, and an umbrella body was established called South African National Military Veterans Association. Ordinarily, government engages from time to time with recognized structures of military veterans associations, including also through the umbrella body, the SAMVA. The DMV has consistently been appealing to the LSWV, which is this other grouping we met last night, grouping to register themselves with DMV in order to facilitate better engagement with them. The progress in this work was staggered, and in November 2020, a group of veterans under the banner of Liberation Struggle War Veterans, which is commonly now referred to as LSWV organization, marched to Union Building in protest about services they are receiving from government. President Cyril Ramaphosa established a presidential task team to address the issues raised by veterans over time. The President assigned the Deputy President of the Republic, Mr. David Mabuza, to lead this task team under the normal acronym called PTT, Presidential Task Team. As early as November and December 2020, the Deputy President held extensive discussions with the military veterans and their association to assess and hear their grievances. The result was the development of a consensus document which laid out a series of mutually agreed areas needing attention. The work of PTT, Presidential Task Team, fully read, has proceeded well, and has delivered on its commitment to continuous engagement with military veterans in a bid to resolve issues raised. As part of this process, the PTT has already held 3 provincial consultations in Gauteng, Eastern Cape and Limpopo, with visit to other provinces in the advanced planning stages. These sessions were led by Deputy President and afforded veterans an opportunity to air their concerns, but also to receive feedback on the manner in which their grievances have been taken up by the PTT. We are able to confirm, ladies and gentlemen, that our understanding is that all the parties were appreciative on the work that has been done to date. A lot has been put in place with clear timelines on what is being done and still to be done. We can confirm some of the work done to date, which includes, amongst others, the following: a draft bill to amend the Military Veterans Act to deal with some of the discrepancies in the bill, such as the definition of the military veteran, provisions of healthcare benefits to the dependents of the military veterans, and means test criteria. Second bullet, the review of the Special Pensions Act, the development of the pensions policy, work around the presidential pardons and expungement of criminal records on some of the members, social relief of distress and the housing for their members, involvement of some of the members in the socio-economic activities, repatriation of the remains of the military and the erection of the monuments in the host countries, and memorialization of fallen heroes, support on education of the children of the veterans, pension of the land for farming and human settlements. At all stages of this process, feedback has been provided to the veterans. In April 2021, a specific session was held with Liberation War Veterans Organization to provide an update chaired by the Deputy President. In as far as legislative review is concerned, a draft bill proposing necessary amendments to the Military Veterans Act of 2011 has already served before the PTT in its first draft and referred back for further inputs to the Minister of Defense and Military Veterans. It is the amendment of this legislation which will enable improvements in how many services are offered to the veterans. Once relevant consultations are concluded, this will need to go through the relevant process and cabinet prior to becoming law. On the socio-economic support, we wish to acknowledge that a lot of work still needs to be done in this area. The interventions by the President to involve premiers in coordinating government programs will go a long way, in our view, in coordinating efforts to support this aspect. On the contentious issue of decent housing raised by military veterans, delivery of housing and rescue of distressed mortgages is ongoing under the current legislative and regulatory provisions. The DMV has noted the matter of dealing with mortgage bonds above the department threshold. The issue is addressed in the draft amendment bill. The DMV will comply with the policy of human settlement through the Memorandum of Agreement review process, which is currently advanced. A panel of verification has been established, chaired by Major General Mashwala. To date, a total number of processed applications as at September 2021 stand at 2,152. The process of verification has not been without challenges, as a significant number of applicants have not presented themselves for verification. The contact information they have left with the verification team has not enabled the Secretariat to contact them. We take the opportunity of reminding all those who have submitted applications for verification to contact the verification workstream via the DMV for the dates of their verification sessions. Under heritage and memorialization, ongoing engagements are being held with the Department of Arts and Culture and its agencies such as SARA, National Heritage Council, and Freedom Park. A memorandum of understanding will be put in place between the two departments. We also report that the Matola Raid Memorial Site in Mozambique, Somafco in Tanzania, and Kwakeka in Uganda have already been established. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, over and above, the Deputy President has undertaken provincial visits to meet with the Provincial Military Veterans Association and provincial governments to assess some of the projects, the last of which was in Limpopo Province in June 2021. The engagement between government and the military associations have thus far been productive and cordial, even though discussions have been difficult. Therefore, in our view, there was no reason for this group to act in an unlawful manner as it transpired last night. Thank you, Program Director.
Thank you very much, Minister. At this point, I will entertain questions. Nongceba is on the board, and Nicholas, you are already number one.
Good morning, Ministers, and good morning, Pumla. Or, beg your pardon, it's afternoon now. Thank you very much for explaining what the government has done thus far to the plight of military veterans. You've provided absolutely no information as to exactly how this happened. The Minister of Defence, the Minister in the Presidency, technically 2 individuals that should be the most guarded by government, were taken hostage. I'd also like to understand, you are here to talk about state matters, but we are in an election period. This is a government run by the ANC. The ANC has crisscrossed the country, saying that you are with the people, you understand what the people need, yet we have people that laid down their lives to bring freedom to South Africa, and they feel that the only way that they can actually get you to listen is by taking you hostage. How does that make you feel as ANC members? And what are you going to do about it in an election period? Are you not embarrassed at all that at the very moment when you should be getting people to trust you and vote for you, they're taking you hostage? These are still citizens of the country, regardless of them being military veterans. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. Okay.
Thank you. It's Mangoba Mkunu from ENCA. First of all, I just wanted to ask, surely it is an embarrassing... Okay, Mangoba Mkunu from ENCA. Surely it is an embarrassing situation that you have a minister and a deputy minister, 2 ministers being in that sort of a situation. Are you not concerned about the sort of message that this is sending to the rest of South Africa in terms of the country's safety and security? If you could have ministers in the security cluster being held hostage. And number 2, what does this say about our intelligence? Is our intelligence compromised?
Thank you. We can take one more. Is that it? Minister, should we take also the online questions first? Okay.
Thank you, Gigi. We have one question so far from Natasha Piri from SABC News. Related to the previous one, was the intelligence service not able to pick up the situation or avert it, seeing that the former liberation combatants staged a sit-in at Luthuli House? Thank you.
Okay. Have you? Is that have you in? Oh, it's not. Sorry. You look so much like Aviwe.
It's Mawande from the Sunday Times.
Oh, Mawande. Sorry, Mawande.
My question is simple. Minister Gungubele, you didn't take us through as to what happened exactly in terms of this hostage situation. I saw the video of you saying they closed the doors. Was there any washing or anything like that? How did it transpire exactly from the point of a stalemate, and what led to the stalemate, and what transpired step by step from then into the hostage situation? Thank you.
Thanks, Mawand. Can we, ministers, I don't know how you deploy yourself.
Thank you very much. Surely, maybe I'll deal with 2 questions, but Minister Modise will come and assist and make it even look better, and we have agreed she'll do that. Were we not embarrassed? Is it not embarrassing? maybe one can say it's not acceptable. In my view, we are dealing with a maturing democracy, which enjoins us, especially as government, to listen to our people. When we listen to them, we don't start on the basis of paranoia or suspicion. We listen to them because we trust that their grievances are legitimate and indeed they are well meant. We don't always go to those meetings with those suspicions. For instance, we're not meeting these people for the first time. They have not done this before. So we have no basis to suspect that they were going to do what they did last night. And if we were embarrassed because we trusted our people, maybe that's the consequence we have to live with. Of course, going forward, we have to be more alert. That's the first point there. The second point is that Mawanda is interested on how the movie was last night. We had a meeting, because we should explain this. We had a meeting at the instance of the military veterans who we met last night. And we anticipated, because of some of the issues we had them raising, that they would have been interested in the presidential task team work progress. As a result, we had those preparations. So getting there, our intentions was to start a meeting and first listen to them what exactly they wanted the meeting to do, because we were very careful about assuming. We could not move beyond that point. We proposed the agenda, we could not move beyond that point because they demanded that the president, the deputy president should be there. And our attitude, Mawanda, is that president is the head of the state together with the deputy president. They have taken efforts to establish a government through which, in a broader sense, on day-to-day, they interact with society. We think it is not fair to expect the president to be everywhere, wherever he is wanted, because he has put together a machinery through which he interacts with people, and we think that we were that machinery last night. But military veterans were not prepared to accept that. We then agreed that it's them then who said they could not proceed with us. We accepted that. You want me to repeat what I said on the video? So as we were proceeding to the door, we realized that the doors were being locked. And we realized that, it's no longer as exciting as it started. So I will be unfair to say they beat us. No. We were there against our will, but it was not a violent, sort of stay. Maybe that's how far I would want to take. Maybe Minister of Defense will actually.
Good afternoon. There's actually nothing to add. Minister Gungubele dealt with all the questions. But there is the question where you asked us whether 2 ministers and a deputy minister being held hostage says anything to the country about the state of security. I think it demonstrates that South Africa is not a security-heavy state, that ministers still trust fellow citizens to sit around with them. It also demonstrates that we will go to any instance to hear concerns about any citizen, whether they are liberation veterans or ordinary citizens, to listen to the concerns that they put us. This meeting was not planned as such. We went there because the Presidential Task Team invited us to go because the matter was there. It is also true that we were aware that this particular grouping had started at the Tule House. And when I was told as Minister of Defence and Veterans Affairs, my indication was that in fact I would like to have a meeting with the group at the department because all their matters belong there. And therefore, it can't be that we were avoiding. It is also a fact that military veterans department specifically was established to ensure that no South African military vet is actually treated like or finds themselves in subhuman, and we deliberate action must be taken to ensure that we respect the contribution people made to take this country to where it is. And therefore I was prepared to have a meeting, and I am still waiting to have a meeting with the military vets, the recognized one, and this particular one which I'm still waiting to see if they will reapply, as they have been asked 3 times already to reapply so that they can get recognition from the minister. So I am sure that people will think about state is weak because, no, I don't think we should go there. We should say that we are very proud as South Africa to engage, to sit amongst our communities and amongst our military vets without thinking they would kill us. We should also take it further, Minister Gungubele, to say, in fact, at some point they were singing liberation songs, and some of us joined in because they were our songs too. Therefore, we did not feel that our lives were at danger. We were unhappy about being refused to leave when the meeting clearly had aborted. We do not think that any citizen, whether they had volunteered to fight for the liberation of this country, has any right to interfere with any individual, whether that individual is a minister or an ordinary citizen's right to sit or to walk or to do whatever. That is the crux of what we are taking issue with here. Every citizen, every South African has the right to sit, to walk where they want, and therefore no legitimate demand of any citizen gives that citizen the right to deprive the other citizens. That is what yesterday was all about. Not that we don't recognize that there are challenges, not that we are not willing to relook at what has happened. I am upfront in saying that with the amounts of resources poured into the Department of Military Veterans, our military veterans should be better off than they are now. And therefore, I intend to do an investigation to find out where the resources have gone, why the lives of the veterans have not improved, why they are not in the houses that the state has gone all out to build, why they do not have access to all the clinics and hospitals in this country as they should have, and why, if we have said they have education benefit, they and their children, school fees were not paid. Those are the issues which we think we are taking away, and that which we think we will be investigating. And therefore, no, we were not ashamed, we were not threatened, we were just uncomfortable with being held against our will. Thank you.
Do we have follow-ups or very clear, Mawandi?
Yes, no, just a quick one, ministers and deputy minister. So how did you manage to keep the cool of your protectors during the situation? Were they inside the room? Were they outside? Did they try to intervene? Did you stop them? Or what happened exactly with the protectors, your personal protectors? Thank you.
Okay. And then, Mangobe, I'm seeing you.
My question, firstly, just checking, first of all, if there will be any other engagements that you will be holding, because we do understand that there's a group of vets that are still converting outside the venue. Are there any planned meetings that you're still going to hold with them? And secondly, the Deputy President was meant to be on a campaign trail in Northern Cape today, but he did not go there. Why is that the case? Is it something to do with what happened yesterday?
When you're saying they are meeting outside, you mean here or
At the venue.
St. George's?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I think that's Nongaba online.
Thank you, DG. We have a question from Sophie Mokoena, the SABC's international news editor. South Africa is currently the chair of the SADC organ on politics, defense and security. There are challenges in Mozambique and Eswatini. President Ramaphosa, as the chairperson of SADC Troika, must lead in finding solutions to the political and security instability in the region. And how will he convince other heads of state and government in the region that South Africa is ready to ensure peace and security in the region when we have our own challenges? For example, what happened in July, and now the Minister of Defense and Minister in the highest office in the land having been held hostage. We also have a question from Rorisang Khosana from The Citizen. The question is, now that you say you have finalized the definition of a military veteran, can you please share what that precise definition of a military veteran is? These issues which you say have been resolved with military vets have been going on for years. What took you so long to find these solutions, and why have they been ignored for so long? We also have a few more questions on the other platform. Mzwandile Mbeche from the SABC is asking, were your lives under threat? There's also a question from Tumelo from the SABC's SABC Africa channel. Were your lives under threat?
Our life.
Yes, yes. There's also a question from Tumelo from the SABC's channel Africa. All ministers and deputy ministers are accorded close protectors who drive them around. Where were your protectors during the hostage? Then there's a follow-up question from Zwandile again from the SABC. You have faced a double security failure, the riots, then ministers being held hostage. Is this a demonstration of an inaptitude state security apparatus? Should I continue or should I pause there, DG?
Do you want to take a pause or should we take, how many are there?
There's two more.
Two. Should we take two? Okay, let's take the last two, Minister.
All right, thank you, DG. Nokukanya Mtambo from Chakranda FM is asking, it's a couple of questions actually. One, why did government officials not heed to concerns about safety following the events that transpired at Luthuli House earlier on in the week? I think that question was asked and responded to. Mm-hmm. Two, how do you respond to claims that there is no separation of state and party? Is this an ANC matter or is it a government matter? She's also asking, who should the blame be apportioned to? The security detail, ill advice from government structures who agreed there should be a meeting with the group, and what are the consequences? She's also asking, why was the Deputy President unable to attend the meeting? Because as far as we understand, the talks collapsed after they realized that the Deputy President would not be present. And Nobile from Reuters is asking, how long was the standoff once the doors were closed, and how long were you held against your will? Those are the questions. Thank you very much, DG.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the questions. I just said I would start at the end. Is this an ANC issue? Is there no separation between the state and the party? There's definitely a separation between the state and the party. The grouping went to the Tule House. I suspect it was a party discussion because we were not there. The state was quite prepared to have a session. The PTT is a state established by the president to give a hearing to any or all military vets who, in this case, you will also appreciate that their military associations have been recognized, and therefore formally the state would only be working through the recognized associations, but that the president went out of his way to make sure that we listen. We hear every military vet who has issues which may not be coming out through the formally recognized associations. So I would contest that this is an issue where there is no separation of the state. Do you tell somebody who has a little stone in his shoes how to step? They may have thought that it gives them a little leverage to go back to their political home, if they were all MK, to start there and to put their case. It may also not be a wrong thing to accept that once they took the decision that they would have expected that the political bosses in Lithuli House would actually appreciate what they are going to and be able to give the support they might need should the state not be as supportive. As I say, the meeting with us has not taken place. I'm hoping that that meeting will take place. I'm hoping that we will break the rules and meet up as the Ministry of Military Vets, have a session with them, even though they are not recognized. And it is important to do this because you deliberately create a system and a process that recognizes, that asks certain information, that identifies people so that the state does not interact with everybody who comes in with whichever. But I must say that we will be more careful when we meet, and we will make sure that we are not taken hostage again. You're saying, does this mean South Africa is a failed state because 2 ministers and a deputy minister were held against their will because there were riots in July in the country? I don't think so. I think South Africa is being put to a test. I think thus far we must be proud that even though yesterday, yes, police came in to break up the hostage situation, so far we have been able to hold it very, very tightly. For the state not to go overboard in the use of force, for the state to listen more than it uses force, and I think that is a plus for the democracy of South Africa. Should we be worried that these instances will continue? I'll tell you a joke. When I was in Iran in July, ambassadors from Africa were saying to us, and the South African ambassador there, welcome to the club because you now also have uprisings. And we said to them, it is good to be tested if you are in a democratic state. It is how you respond to the test that defines the quality of democracy and the quality of the state that you want to continue having. So I hope that at no stage will we go overboard and make sure that a minister goes into a meeting with 4 or 5 bodyguards. It is not necessary. And to answer that question, yes, our protectors were there. No, They were not tempted to beat up anybody. They knew that we could hold our own, because what was taking place within those closed doors was people talking, was people differing on issues, was people now and then breaking into songs and joining each other. It wasn't a bloodbath. It was people saying, but you are not understanding our point of view. And us saying, but we want to really understand your point of view. Let us meet. But you are refusing us to discuss this matter here because you are demanding that we physically bring a deputy president to a meeting. And even if we wanted to, even amongst us as comrades, does a minister order a president into a meeting because an unrecognized group of people demand? Does a deputy president drop everything they are doing if and when they have expressed their apology to that meeting and have designated somebody to chair in their instance? We respected these citizens and former liberation veterans. We did everything we could, and we will still go out to do everything we can. What we will not tolerate is deliberate acts of disregarding the rights of others, because that is criminal. And when the police came in there, they were not dealing with anything else but the violation of other people's rights. Minister, whatever I left, you will have to deal with. Thank you.
I think most of the issues Minister Modise has actually meticulously dealt with them. Actually, nearly all. But I thought it's important maybe to say something further. You see, the work of the VIP, shielding ministers, takes different forms. Sometimes takes a conduct in front of the situation sometimes, and conducts are different. It's either you shoot or you take a particular posture. So the posture that was required to be taken that last night is the posture they took. I think Minister Modise has explained that. Because it's not always about defending minister by beating people, but you analyze the situation and actually after analyzing it, determine how best to deal with that. The best way to deal with that situation was calm VIPs, and they were very calm, and watch it as it was unfolding, and they did well until the state came in, and I think Minister explained that. Further engage, I think Mr. Modise explained that why the Deputy President cancelled a trip, we can't be able to explain that now. And I think the question was, why didn't the Deputy President come last night? I think Mr. Modise has also explained. Listen, I want to repeat this and reinforce it. Government is big. These two are heads of the entire government. So when Minister David Mabuza says to me, Minister and President, I want you to go and chair a meeting in St. George's because my program, I can say, Deputy President, where are you going? I can't ask the Deputy President that because I'm there, amongst other things, to carry his instructions. Let's come to the President leading SADC. I think to me, Minister Modise, it borders on saying, are we suggesting that there's a perfect family? So that before you are appointed to be a president or to be a chair of a board, let's check that you've got a perfect family. I'm sure that's not what we're asking. Maybe the quick question you must ask, is the president in charge of the country? We think he is. Did we have developments that raise eyebrows? Yes, we had. Because he is leading a community of living people. There are instances in any country, like it happened in America in the capital. I mean, America is known to be a dion, the biggest, they always say the greatest democracy on earth. But look what happened at the capital that time. It's because you are leading human beings. Some of these developments are not a source of, not all developments that are upheaval are a source of embarrassment. There are always opportunities to learn better how to lead your country. In that instances, in our view, there's no basis to question the credentials of the president to lead SADC, because even in SADC, there's a lot he can account for, which he has turned around, which happened positively under his, what to call, his leadership. I think Sister Thandi dealt. Lastly, I think this question, Sister Thandi, keeps on coming. Were you safe? We appeared to be safe. Maybe it's correct to put it that way. We appeared to be safe, but we were very cautious. That's all I can say. Okay. To me, if I remember, Deputy Minister Thabang, it was about the standoff might have been from 7 to 10. Standoff?
The standoff started from 7
to 10.
To 10 to 10.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
I think the ministers have dealt with all the question, except to just confirm that the amendment bill, once it has served before cabinet, will be made public. And I think there's a colleague who was asking what is the definition saying. I think they will be able to get a copy and be able to go through it and maybe give their inputs. If maybe they want to give inputs, it will be published for public comment. Ngaba?
Thank you, DG. I have a few more questions that have come in.
Take it. All right, it's okay, so we can take.
All right, thank you. Liz Zeka from Mail and Guardian is asking Minister Gungubele, given how easily this incident occurred, will this mean an increased security detail for the affected ministers? And to Minister Modise, there has been tensions between the vets and the ministry for a few years now. Their concerns do seem to fall on deaf ears. Can you share what has this task team headed by the Deputy President done since its inception to help the veterans? Then there was a question that was asked much earlier on that we had missed. It is from Sune from Daily Maverick. How many military veterans across all groupings have verified themselves through the Department of Military Veterans? And what is the estimate of military veterans that have not verified themselves through the DMV? Then we have a follow-up question from Sophie Mokoena to Minister Modise. You didn't answer my question regarding the chair of SADC organ on politics. I think it was a question related to the President, President Ramaphosa. That's what
I think she responded.
Yes, that's what she said.
Yeah.
And there's a question that I received by SMS. I'm not sure who it's from, but I think it's relevant. The question is, what is the role of SAMVA as a statutory body representing military veterans in these engagements? Thank you.
Role of SAMVA.
Yes.
Role and the status?
What is the role of SAMVA as a statutory body representing military veterans in these engagements? So what is the role of SAMVA in the engagements that are ongoing? Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you once more. Increased security now. Security around the ministers to be increased because this incident, I don't think so. I think that we are always trying to look at where the resources of the state can best be used. We have had many challenges. You have had issues around South Africa's wage bill. So why would we want to increase security, more security detail around individual ministers when the country has so many issues? I think what we want to open up, it is better, more frequent, simpler communications between citizens in the various communities that are working with particular departments, because then you begin to understand the community you are working with, and then matters become easier. So I don't think that the state must even start dreaming of increasing securities around its ministers. If anything, we should be aspiring to, in years from now, to be like the Scandinavian countries, where I can walk anywhere without feeling threatened by anything and anybody. So for me, it would be a big no. You are right. You're saying there has been a tension between the military vets and the department. Yes, where people are in need and people are desperate, and where you have a new department that has just been established, and where perhaps you have not thoroughly searched out the capacity that you need within that department to understand and to serve the community in need, you will have tensions. But also, even when you have the required capacity, if the wherewithal is not there for the department to service the desired community, you will have that competition between what I need and what the state can give me. And most of the time, I think the tensions come from there. Am I happy that every cent that has been given to the Department of Military Vets has gone to military vets? I'm not sure. And that is why I earlier on said I am going to be investigating, make sure that every cent goes to where it was supposed to go. Are we looking after the military vets as we should? Because earlier on somebody said, these people have been complaining and you've been ignoring. I don't think it is a matter of ignoring. It might have been that when some issues came up, the Department of Defense, as it was established then, did not have the elasticity and the resources and the personnel to actually go in and deal with these issues. But you must also remember that when in 1993-94, we started really defining and planning what the South African Defence Force would be like, we also had to build in a mechanism, because the numbers from the statutory forces all over the country and the non-states were such that this country would not have been able to afford a defence force. But you also had to balance out, because you wanted a representative defence force. And therefore you came up with a process of lessening the numbers, but getting people to take voluntary demobilization. And I think that it is in those demobilization packages, which were really ridiculously small, that the first mistakes were done. And these mistakes were then being corrected by the now established focused Department of Military Vets. So yes, we take him too long to deal with the issues, but we do know that most of the military vets don't want luxury houses. They want a roof, a decent roof. They want to be able to eat. They want to be able to know that when they are sick, they will be taken care of. That is the dignity that we must make sure that they get. Should we, because one of the demands that was placed before the PTT was a package of 4.2 million, can the state afford it? No, the state cannot afford it. And so what do you do in the meantime? In the meantime, you look at what you have, what you can afford, and what you can pace into the future to make sure that people's lives improve. The SADC chair, Can South Africa only lead because there is peace in the country? Can South Africa lead Africa and be led by Africa? Yes, South Africa has every right to be proud of its record, even today. We managed for more than 25 years to be consistent in our respect for our constitution until July. I still think that we mastered and we passed the test, even in July, with those rights, because South Africans, and not the military, defended the constitution by standing up to say we will not take this. Should the president of South Africa therefore not get the respect that the citizens of this country accord him, when they believe that constitutionality and democracy is our chosen way of life, I think that South Africa can continue to say, yes, we will continue to be a bickering family. We cannot pretend that we have no differences. And that is why in our constitution we said we will unite in our diversity. Precisely because that is what defines us. That we will quarrel today, but we will always remember that we have a country to build. That we will not have enough to eat today, but we will make sure that we eke out something that the most vulnerable amongst us get. But that we cannot have an economy in these conditions that can afford 4.2 million for an individual military vet. That we cannot do, but we are saying that what legitimately can be done to restore dignity of the military vets must be done. And I agree with you that we need to pick up space. We need to see what can be done. Have we done everything we could do? Yes, we should look after military vets, but we should also be looking at those who are still inside the military, those who ensure that you and I sleep, those who ensure that our borders are guarded. And therefore, if you ask me what percentage I would spend between the military vets and the active men and women in service, I would say to you, I would lean more towards ensuring that even the military vet sleeps well, knowing that the sacrifice of the 70s and whichever years are being secured by the young men and women who are active today. And therefore, most of our budget should be going into the renewal and the recapacitation of the Defence Force as we have it today.
To close.
Final question, please.
A final pending question. Okay, let's hear that pending question, ministers.
My name is Catherine, and I'm from Times Live. So we've seen images and videos inside the room where you were held hostage, and the tables were turned over, chairs are thrown to the side. There seems to be stun grenade burn marks on the carpet. Did police use stun grenades in order to rescue you? Thank you.
So that's the only question. Nangaba,
Yes.
You said it's the last question. So let me just take them down there. So your question, ma'am, is the stun grenade on the carpet or what?
Yes, I just want to know what kind of. It seems
Okay.
like the rescue, the ministers weren't really threatened, they were all fine, and it was a fairly safe hostage situation. Yet you see the tables are overturned, and it seems like burn marks and stun grenades are on the carpet. So I just wanted to know if the police used stun grenades to rescue you.
Okay. Nangaba, and it's the very last.
It's definitely the very last, DG. It's a question from Rory Sang from The Citizen. The question is, are there any plans to drop charges against the 56 people who were arrested, since Minister Modise said the state is willing to listen to its military veterans and their issues?
Are the ministers? Okay. Thank you. All right.
Well, the last question first. Are there any plans to drop charges? Not from this table? We can't do that. There was a violation. The police responded. You can't hold people against their will and then say, I am going to be released within 10. If they do get released, let it be a process that is out there. How it will be unfolded, I don't know. But we do not want to set a precedence that I can commit any violation and the law will be put aside because it is me and I am a military vet. Legitimate as my grievances might be, I am still a citizen, and precisely because I'm a military vet, especially from the non-statutory forces, we expect them to have gone through so much hell that Thabang and I went through, that we respect every right of every citizen, because we had to fight for it. We had to give up our youth to protect and ensure that our children's children don't go through what our grandmothers went through. Therefore, it will not be us asking for the dropping of the charges. Maybe Minister Gungubele will look at that and the presidency, but I speak in the name of the Deputy Minister and I that we will not interfere. Did the police use stun grenades? I cannot say to you yes or no. I was in the room. The rooms were barricaded. They had to pry open those doors. What they used, I don't know. Maybe have you ever watched a hostage movie? It's always dramatic. The tables are turned upside down, not because they hit people with them, but because they are taken out of the way so that if you clear the room, the victims can get up and run. Because when we had those loud bangs, we all went down, like we do in the movies and in the planes when they say, now brace, we braced. And that is what happened. So if there are any bends in the carpets and the tables were upside down, I don't know if it is in my place to apologize, but it happened. People were saved. I can assure you that I've been long enough in MK to know that no bullet was fired in the room while I was there. And I do know that there was enough restraint, at least amongst the protectors, that nobody was touched. So whatever it is, I think, ma'am, you will hear when the matter goes to court or wherever it goes, because, Tina, we wanted to get out of there. We wanted fresh air outside. We needed ablution facilities. We'd been stuck there for hours, by the way, without ablution facilities. And therefore, I think that whatever the police may have used, it would be within the permissible range of things that they are supposed to use. Thank you very much.
We've come to the end of this media briefing, and let me take the opportunity to thank all the members of the media that came, and we adjourn. Thank you to the ministers and Deputy Minister in general. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.